Today, I want to talk a little bit about hidden problems. It's a little cliche to say you don't know what you don't know, but I'm always surprised by how much businesses don't know what they don't know. And I don't want to call out businesses or founders or owners or anything because it's all of us, right? We all have this problem. I want to make you aware of it and have some tools for counteracting it. And the best way I could do that, you know me, I love a good story. And so I was actually working with a company that does like agile transformation stuff, right? Great company, great people there. And I was interviewing some of their best clients. And I began hearing this pattern to what they were saying. So one client would say, yeah, we started the agile transformation, but we didn't really have leadership on board, so it stalled out. We wish they would come in again and help us finish this transformation, get leadership on board, do more coaching. Another one said, yeah, we were doing this agile transformation, but we're not sure if we're doing it right. We wish they would come in and just kind of, take a pulse, see if we're doing it, or maybe give us a dashboard. A third one said, we enjoyed our coach. We loved what they did. They had 2 add-on sessions, but we weren't sure how to schedule them. We wish we'd actually get more. We could get like an add-on subscription. So I kept hearing over and over these things that kind of fit the pattern that the company was doing a great job. They talked with the coach, they did great presentations, but then they'd just kind of leave it at that. That's actually not surprising because in talking with the president of the company, he said that was actually the model, right? He wanted to do the ethical thing. He disliked it when other coaching and transformation companies would get clients stuck on a subscription model, right? He thought that was disingenuous. He likened it to being a doctor. He's like, look, you're sick, you come to the doctor makes you well. You don't keep going to the doctor and paying extreme amounts of money. You're healed, you go on, right? And so he thought he was doing the ethical thing by not overcharging his clients for a service they didn't need. But his clients were saying something else. His clients were saying, we feel abandoned, we wish there was an add-on or something like that. So I'm actually presenting this information in the slideshow. I have a quote from one client saying that the transformation stalled. And he says, let me stop you there. I think I know who this quote was from and who the company was. He was right, doesn't matter. I do want to drill down and find out why that company had problems, but I don't want to assume that this is a widespread problem. That's a problem with one company. I don't think it's a systematic problem that we're having. I said, okay, but before you make that conclusion, let me show you the next slide. The next slide have 5 more quotes from 5 more clients, all saying what I just found out. And he loses his poker face for a second, and we realize, oh, he thought that this was just a problem with a client that because of their quirks we're having an issue here. That wasn't the case. He had a systematic problem. It's just that this one client over here was the one that said something to his face, right? All these others were kind of thrashing about, didn't know who to say this to. And so it wasn't a localized problem, it's a systemic problem. And to his credit, he built a data dashboard for his clients to use, and he introduced sort of an add-on sidecar subscription service for people who want to meet with their Agile coach more often after the initial engagement. And so that was great, and it just shows that by fixing this problem, he fixed actually a couple of problems. One, he got better client satisfaction. 2, he wasn't leaving money on the table, right? He had left all this money on the table because his clients wanted to engage with him and his crew, but didn't. 3, he was able to sell this at the beginning too, but do it in an ethical sort of way. So at the end of the day, I think this has an important lesson for all of us, right? Is that often there are systemic problems there, but we tend to brush them off. We either say, that's not really a problem, or that more likely, as in this case, yeah, that's a problem, but it's not a systemic problem. It's not something that we should change what we're doing in order to accommodate. Sometimes it is. Sometimes what seems like a small problem is just the tip of the iceberg, and there's much more systematic problems underneath. But you can't unearth that unless you have the right sorts of conversations. So that's just something to think about. I want you to think of something that maybe didn't go quite according to plan, or is a local problem, or that one client that you had some problems with. And just think for a second, is this really just an isolated incident? Or is it the tip of an iceberg that's a more systemic problem I should address? And how can you know? How can you figure that out? Just something to chew on. And hey, if you think you might be missing something in your organization, reach out to me at Human Driven Understanding. That's hdunderstanding.com. And we'll ask your clients the right questions to put you back on the right path.